Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet, and I am so grateful you decided to join me today. This week, I want to talk about maximizing your business. Did you listen to last week's podcast, episode 159, with my husband, Ryan Van Fleet? If you did, we kept it real, as always. My husband and I own Good Karma Sportfishing here in the Keys, and it's not just a charter boat business. We also have a private paid community, which we're celebrating 2 years of. It's called the Rigging Crew. We also have an app, the Good Karma Sportfishing app. Ryan has a blog with affiliate links, so we make money off of affiliates. And last December is when I buckled down and took all the courses to learn how to do that and then taught it to my husband. Our podcast, and let's see what else. Oh, and our courses. So Ryan and I talked last week about editing something because he did edit 2 things in the last month, and we really talked about that. So this podcast is kind of like a part 2, I want to say, because I really want to call it out to people to do a business audit. It is so important to really take some time and figure out what's working in your business, what's not working in your business, and where do you want to go. And the reason, not only because my husband and I do this regularly, that I think this is so important, but I also see out there that people are actually not doing this. You can tell. You can totally tell on social media. If someone has not made any changes to their content, to the delivery of their content, or the platforms they are on in, let's say, a year or over a year, they are not sitting down and doing a business audit. Or they may have some ideas of what they want to do, but they have not taken action. So figuring that out is so instrumental, especially since we're getting closer and closer to a new year. Now, I'm not someone who's always like, yay, a new year, like everything starts over and let's put out some New Year's resolutions. Like, I don't believe in that. If you truly follow like universal laws, you know that like we just keep going and the universe doesn't know time. However, as humans in this 3D world, we do actually pay attention to stuff like that. So I tend to kind of bounce around in the middle. And I keep in mind that, 2023 is coming. However, if I'm going to make some changes, like why in the heck would I wait? Why would I wait? Like do it now. So it is just so important to take the time to do that. It's really funny. I started to realize that it's been 2 years since I released over 40 pounds. And I did put a little bit back on. I want to say like 5 pounds. I kind of bounce around within a couple pounds there, but I did have to put some weight on because I got too skinny and people were making comments. And you know who you are out there if you listen to this podcast and you told me that I look like a meth addict. But I agreed. It was definitely too bony. But where I'm going with this is I actually did a closet audit, and I'm still it's still a work in progress. So you can do an audit on anything in your life, right? So I started last week with going through my clothes and going, okay, it's been 2 years since I've kept the weight off. Like I can throw away or donate or try to sell like all of these clothes that don't suit me anymore. It is good to do audits on anything in your life that could be holding you back, have energy that keeps you stuck, keeps you small, and just free up some space, free up some energetic space. And heck, if I sell some of this clothes, is an extra little fun money too, right? So it is just really, really important to take the time to do that. So last week we talked about, again, some edits that we did with Good Karma Sportfishing. And with me, I'm really trying to decide on how I'm going to embody something that I made a big decision last week to do. And I'm so excited. I'm not fully ready to announce it yet because it's going to be a little bit of a lag time, but it is so next level that the majority of people, vast majority of people in this world have never even heard of it before. And it's working with someone else and going through her program and then incorporating that into my business model. So I already feel like my branding beyond basic, which came to me last October 2021, it came to me on a walk. So it came to me out of nowhere from the divine. And I was like, well, what do I do with this now, right? So I've been using it little by little, but still really branding under my name, Melinda Van Fleet. And now it's like, okay, I really feel that with this extra technology that I will be embodying into my business, into even myself, and also my clients are going to vastly benefit from this. Like, okay, what does this mean? And what does this look like for my business as a whole? How does this change my branding? And what does that mean for the different platforms that I'm on and what I'm currently doing? So as you can tell, like, I'm not fully ready to make any changes. However, they're starting to percolate in my brain, and I'm also asking for guidance along the lines too from the divine. So always, always, always think about your business. Your business is a living and breathing entity. And that was something that I had to learn this year. I was ignoring some things on my website. I was ignoring the fact that my homepage was very salesy, and I do not believe in the old paradigm of a hard coaching sell. I just really don't. I believe that if you're energetically aligned and you wish to work with whether it's me or another coach, then you will feel called to do that when the timing is right for you. So I had to do a big audit on my website, right? So I'm always moving and grooving as far as keeping in touch with what's going on, what it is going on with like what platforms I'm on, how is my verbiage, my communication, can it be better, how is my alignment in regards to those things, and just really keeping in touch with like my energy and how can I be improving? How can I be improving? And you know what? I'm going to be real honest, it's work. It is work. It is much easier to put up your blinders and just go through your day and not pay attention to anything you're doing and just be on autopilot than it is to really look at yourself in the mirror and take a deep dive as to how are you feeling, what's going on, and what then are you projecting through your content, your social media, your website, anything like that, blogs, podcasts, etc. That is the work. And that is why I developed a business audit that I have put out there. I made an announcement a couple weeks ago. I created a post, and I'll share that story on this podcast in a minute. But I created a post to really share, something that happened to me in October 2019. And I know sometimes I bounce back and forth between saying, I made a mistake or a mistake's a lesson. And we all know that mistakes are lessons. We know that. But it was in that bucket. And now I feel so in tune, not only energetically with what's going on out there and with people and with my clients, but also having such an awareness of all the platforms and different things, even an app, like, are you maximizing your business with your app? Like, are you doing different things? What's going on there? So I have created a business audit. There are 3 levels. The links will be in the show notes. And the first level, level 1, is $888. And what that encompasses is a deep dive from me for all the things you'd like for me to look at. It could be watching some videos, listening to some podcasts, reviewing your website, reading blogs, whatever. And then sending you an email with all of the suggestions, ideas, things to think about, however you want to bucket it, that I can possibly think of. I will not hold back. I will not be like, I'm only giving you 3 suggestions. No, anything I see, I will let you know in an email format. The second level is that plus a 1-hour one-on-one Zoom call that will be recorded. So then you would have time to digest that and we can go over it via Zoom. So you can ask questions. Some things can be more of a discussion versus just emailed. And that would be $1,333 $32 total. So it's level 1 plus the level 2. So $888 plus $444, if that makes sense. And then level 3 is level 1, level 2, plus 2 additional pieces of support. So whether you wanted to email me or Voxer me and say, hey, Melinda, can you look at my homepage again of my website? I made some changes. Let me know what you think. That is what that would encompass. So often, we make changes and then you want someone to go, well, what do you think? Is that okay? Or just give some extra advice or insight or a tip or something else to check out or look at. It's a very, very big space to play in. But to me, that is so exciting because I love to overgive and overshare. So I feel that there's just so much opportunity here for someone to really maximize their business, get some insight as to where they are to date, and then take that and run with it in 2023 or even sooner. So reach out to me if this is interest to you, or just click the link that sounds really good to you, and we will get started right away. And what I put in that post from a couple weeks ago was that prices may go up, and we'll see, based on supply and demand, because this is obviously something that will encompass a good portion of my time, because I definitely want to be able to review whatever you would like me to review. So just know that, if you're like, oh, this is something I want, I don't know if I'd wait a super long time, because again, supply and demand. So anyhow, just wanted to share that as well. And the story that I want to share that is in conjunction to that. So if you read my post, that's cool. But just to say it verbally, and I know everyone doesn't see everything on social media, is back in 2019, I had taken a speaker course, which I've talked about before, from a speaking coach, and it was a very high ticket. It was $10,000, and then I paid for some extra months of coaching, and it really wasn't technically a coaching program. It was really learning how to sell yourself as a speaker and how to call on companies, and there was a lot of accountability and discipline built into that program. So it wasn't about being a speaker at all. It wasn't about crafting a talk at all. And so none of that was encompassed. It was really the marketing piece of it. And in that coach and his team dabbled a little bit, just a tad, into the actual marketing, like a speaker sheet, or you could schedule 15 minutes for one of the sub coaches to look at your website. So in those little teeny 15-minute bits, what ended up happening is that coach was not someone who was spiritual. So he basically told me that my Good Karma Success Coach podcast and the initial branding that I started my business with at the very first part of 2019 was not going to fly. No company was going to hire me, and it was just not going to fly. So that sent me down this whole path of creating a second website, melindavanfleet.com, and creating this podcast, Crush It in Sales. And after that, it then became very confusing for me as to how to market myself. I was all over the board. I didn't quite understand, because personally, my soul leans towards operating outside of the 3D. And that's how I live. That's how I be. That's what I embody. It's how Ryan has now become. And therefore, working with large corporations that are very black and white, it really is challenging for me as a human. It just doesn't match. I'm not aligned. So now I know that, but during 2019, I was very confused. So what ended up happening was, in the fall, I had met this female coach, a female marketing coach, at an NSA event in Fort Lauderdale, because I used to drive up once a month and go to these NSA events. You can go, if you're not in NSA, you could just go as a guest, and I would watch the speakers and try to network and learn. And so this woman was there who was not a speaker, but she would go there to network and market her business. She and I ended up having breakfast. She was like, oh yeah, I looked at your things. I can totally see what you're talking about. I have so many ideas for you. I can totally help you. I get it. I've looked at your websites. I understand your struggle. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, thank you. This is, my prayers from God have been answered. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I pay her the money. And what ends up happening is immediately, instead of just rolling and helping me and going through the things I paid her, she starts to put me in her coaching box. And if you've ever worked with someone who's truly just a coach, they're not a mentor. Often a coach has a system, and there's nothing wrong with this, but if this is not something you desire to have, you are going to be hiring the wrong person. Take it from me. I've done this way too many times. And this was one of those instances. So she has me filling out personality assessments and forms and all these things without really helping me get to the bottom of what I really needed help with and why I hired her. So she sold me on something that I did not want. And I started to surface it to her fairly quickly. Like I did her test and I filled out her forms. And then I started to surface to her. I'm like, okay, when are you going to look at my stuff? Like, this is what I want. Like, let's roll. Because if you know me, I run fast. So I'm like going, okay, like, where are your suggestions? Like, how can I make this stronger? Like, how can I fix my marketing? Oh, no, you have to wait. We have to do all these other things first. It was an extremely frustrating process, which ending up in a blowout because I asked her for her opinion on something after a speaking event, and she gave me such horrible feedback and advice that it literally broke me and brought me to tears. And I will never, ever, ever forget what a mistake/lesson that was. And what I took away from it was just really the importance of listening to people and making sure that I am doing the very best job as a mentor and I'm giving my clients what they need, not putting them in a coaching box. And it's just really, really, really important. So I always said after that experience that someday when I felt really comfortable, like energetically and also with the platforms and had some general knowledge and had some insight as to all the things that I would be able to help people that were stuck like me. Because it is an extremely, extremely frustrating place to be in. And when you're in a place of frustration, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just like you keep hitting your head against the wall, hit your head against the wall, hit your head against the wall, hit your head against the wall, because there is no movement because you are so frustrated and you don't know where to go. So I really, really believe that I can be that person that can help you get unstuck. And I know that sounds cliche and lots of coaches use it, but I've been there. I've totally been there on so many levels. This is just one level. I've been there on so many other levels, and I really believe and know that I can help someone get there if they're experiencing this as well. So this is just one way to get started and get some movement and some momentum. If you are not looking to sign up for private one-on-one coaching, which I still offer as well, 3 different packages, but this is just another way that's a little more targeted, a little more 3D, a little more technical. And again, we would look at what you need help with, and then we would go from there. So if this sounds interesting to you, if this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, I could totally use this, I've been looking for someone that would do a business audit, then please reach out to me. A lot of the really, really big coaches out there, this is really important to know. A lot of the really, really big coaches out there are kind of stemming away from one-on-one coaching, or their coaching packages are really, really, really pricey. I'm not saying they're not worth it. I'm going to be there someday. So yeah, I will be. But it's because, they just don't have the time and supply and demand, right? So take advantage of this brand new offer if this is something that appeals to you, because I personally have not seen anyone else out there do anything like this. So I'm really hoping that this reaches the people. This is my intention, that this reaches the people that are like, yep, I could really use some extra help looking at my business, my marketing, my branding, my content, talking about energy so I can get some momentum moving into the new year. So All information will be in the show notes. Thanks again for listening. I really appreciate you, and I hope that this helps you crush it in sales. Thanks again.